What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? Well, this is about to get finished. As you may see, my conundrum with this. You see those screen resistors right there? They already look like they've gotten hot, and that's what they're supposed to do. They dissipate heat. These are only like 2 watt resistors though, so I'm going to put a couple of 3 watt. This isn't really what I wanted. I wanted the whatever the white ones are called. What is it, wire wound? But this is fine. It's metal, whatever you call it, and it's going to be much better in that position to dissipate heat. So once that's done, this amp will be done and going back to its happy owner. The other thing that I have going on, a guy dropped off, and I'm trying to clean things up around here, get things a little more organized than they otherwise would be. Guy dropped off this for me today. It is a kit base that he built, and he has no output. So looks like he tried pretty hard to do a nice job, and for a first kit build, looks pretty good. The cool part about this is I don't really want to get into guitar work too much. I swap pickups, do something like this, but as far as the repairs and paint and all the good stuff, the cool part about this is the more people kind of bring me stuff like this, I can say, hey, if you ever want some really killer work done, go see Eric C. at the Art of Noise, because you will have a world-class guitar all the way around. World-class paint, world-class fretwork, world-class everything. So that's kind of cool about this. Like I said, I can take care of this for this guy, get his pickups working for him, and but it's kind of cool because I can put the word out to Eric, who really deserves it. The guy does great work. But otherwise, yeah, I'm trying to get things cleaned up around here so it'll make a little more sense. And getting that board out of the way helped a lot. I don't even know what I'm going to do with that thing. It's a pretty cool board, honestly. It's a Yamaha 2404, and it's a pretty good board. Not sure what I'm going to do with it other than have it sitting here looking cool. Everything works on it. Went through it already. So anyway, not really what I'm here to talk about. What I'm really here to talk about is your regularly scheduled programming. So we had an airline crash, as you guys know. Let me find out what's going on up here real quick. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. As I was saying, and as you guys I'm sure are aware, we had the airline crash in DC, which involved a there you go, nice shot for you, which involved a helicopter and a plane. Terrible, bad stuff, man. Really bad stuff. Of course, they laid off President Trump for a little while, and now they're back on him. They want to get pissed off at him and find a reason to get pissed off. I see Chuck Schumer, the lawyer, is already out and about and telling us all how we're the adults. We are the adults, and we will tell you how it is and how it works. And here's the deal. There's been mention of DEI, which is a term that a lot of people don't know about, don't understand. Just trying to get you guys lined up here so it comes out halfway decent. I don't really want it crooked either, but anyway, which is a term a lot of people don't understand. The DEI, whatever, diversity, equity, blah, blah, blah. So that is a term that used to be called affirmative action. Okay? And after many people eventually got very angry about what a racist deal affirmative action is, they renamed it, and they've renamed it DEI. So that is basically affirmative action. So the Orange Man understands, that it's not a good idea to have a lot of people making decisions, okay? It's a good idea to have a lot of different ideas it's a good idea to have people with different ideas chiming in, but at the end of the day, the Orange Man understands that it's after that, you should have, one or two people making the actual decisions for everyone else. He understands this. So, he's in the news. He said, look, the Democrats have focused on all they give a shit about is, politics. And, I don't care. I want the best people doing the job. I don't give a shit what race they are, what gender they are. We want the best candidate for the job, and that's the way it needs to be. And they said, well, how do you know this and that and the other? And, he said, because I have common sense, and we have seen this not only in airlines, but we've seen it in all kinds of trades, namely, lately, the police departments. And it's not so much that policy is playing a role in the police departments, is that not enough people want to be cops anymore, and these police departments, especially in my area, have lowered their standards immensely. Basically right now, if you could pass a drug test, you could be a Wayne County sheriff. And you know what? If you don't pass the first one, we'll figure out and we'll get you another one. That's how bad it is here in Detroit area. All the police departments are begging for help, and the problem with that is they keep lowering their standards, and it can't be that way, man, because that's when you get these idiot officers out there that don't know what they're doing, and who knows what background they really come from. They might be criminals really, and they're playing cops because they were able to get the job, not because they wanted the job, just because they were able to get it. Now, this DEI, or affirmative action, I think a lot of us have experienced in our lifetime. I know I experienced it. I know my siblings experienced it. There was a time, this was around probably 2008, I was still in the commercial demolition business, and there was no jobs, you couldn't buy a job at the time. So there was one strip out going on downtown Detroit at the Book Cadillac building. It was a big building, big hotel, which they ended up renovating here in Detroit. I knew that it was one of those deals. If it was in the city of Detroit, it was going to be difficult for me to get hired on there. Even though I knew all the people that work in the business, everybody, demolition business is a small business. It's there's not a lot of us out there. So I knew everybody that, was working there. So long story short, I'm watching the news one day. I'm laid off, sitting at home watching the news, and on comes breaking news out of Detroit. The Book Cadillac building is currently on fire. So I'm looking, and I'm like, I know what happened. Somebody did something wrong and probably cut into a duct, more than likely. You don't ever cut it. I'm talking about HVAC duct, right? You don't cut into that with a torch. Now, there's ways to do it if you absolutely have to do it. There are ways to do it. But basically, you never cut into any HVAC ductwork with a torch, ever. Unless you absolutely have to. And then when you absolutely have to, there are things that need to be done before you can start cutting into that ductwork. It needs to be blocked off and whatnot. But anyway, so I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm going downtown Detroit tomorrow because I'm going to go check it out, see if I can get a job, because obviously they need burners. So I get down there, spot my buddy, Kim Wheeler. I spot Kim, and I said, hey man, what's up? And I started talking with him. And I said, what happened? He goes, you know what happened, Mike? And he goes, man, they don't know what they're doing in there. They got them guys burning. Them guys ain't never been burning before. You know what they happened. They don't know. Guys don't know what they're doing, Mike. Kim was real flamboyant like that, or is. Especially when he gets irritated. So at some point, I mentioned, hey man, I need a job. I'm looking for a job, and he didn't really say much. And then eventually I mentioned it again, and he's like, "Look, Mike, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I'm gonna tell you the truth right now. You're the wrong color for this job." I said, "Are you serious?" And he goes, "That's the way it is, man." He goes, "I'm just gonna tell you the truth. You're the wrong color for the job." I said, "Ain't this a bitch?" I said, "So these guys are setting the building on fire, and at the time I probably had 10 years experience as a burner, and I'm sitting home." So that is an example of DEI, or affirmative action, where you don't necessarily get the best candidate for the job. You get, because you have to have diversification, and you basically, you know, the deal was on that particular job, the deal was, and it was very racist. Um, what they did, the city of Detroit, is you are not allowed to work in the city of Detroit on certain jobs, minority jobs, that's what they call them, minority jobs, unless you lived in the city of Detroit. Okay? So I always thought like this, well, since I live in the suburbs, wouldn't that make me the minority? But it doesn't work that way. So, maybe my pet retard could tell you about not cutting into ductwork and why you don't ever cut into HVAC ductwork. But, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's an example of this. Now, I'm not saying that that was the case in this particular case, because from everything I can see, it looks to me like that helicopter deliberately flew into that plane. Somebody posted a short on YouTube, and you can clearly see the plane coming in for a landing, and then the helicopter, if you zoom in on the video, you can see the helicopter just came straight across and just flew straight into him. So I don't know, it looks kind of like and I don't know what it was, but it looks like it could possibly be suicide by pilot. And if that's the case, like, why don't you just go somewhere and blow your head off? Why you got to take a bunch of people with you? Never understood that. But yeah, the Orange Man understands that, and mainstream media now, they're, you know, the Democrats and the mainstream media, they want to live in this world where, we have things happen and no one's held accountable. It's nobody's fault, and no one's held accountable for it. And the Orange Man understands that that's bullshit. Somebody needs to be held accountable for what happened, and whether it's that's the way it is. If you're a CEO of a major company somewhere, um, and all of a sudden in a year's time the company goes bankrupt, guess what? You're the first guy to go, because you're in charge. You're the captain of the ship, right? You're the last guy to step off of it. You know what I mean? The ship goes down. You want to make sure everybody gets out okay, and then if they're out okay, you can get off. So the Orange Man understands this. He's been in business. He understands what it's like to, be responsible. He's the president of the United States. He's responsible for all of us at the end of the day. And I believe that, if something, God forbid, ever happened, he would take that responsibility. So he understands this, where the mainstream media and the Democrat Party seems to not understand that, you can't live in a world. It would be great to live in a world where um, nobody's ever at fault and nobody's ever held accountable, and we can all just do whatever we want. And but we have laws. Now, of course, the lawyer Chuck Schumer, he's out there already telling us again, and I hate this. And I think this is why one of the reasons Trump won, is because people, whether they're Democrat or not, they're tired of being talked down to. Here comes the lawyer telling us all how I'm the grown up in the room, and I'm going to tell you how it is, and you're going to listen because you're all dumb peasants. That's how, they portray themselves. All Democrats at this point. Even that absolute ass clown, AOC. She's a young woman, and she talks down to people like they're like, like it's nobody's business. Like she's the smartest person in the room. When the thing of it is she's one of the dumbest people in the room. I've got my pet retard here on YouTube, same deal. He believes he's the smartest person in the room. And, that's why you don't argue with stupid people, right? Because they're going to drag you down to their level, and then they're going to beat you with experience of being stupid, right? So, I don't know. I haven't seen anything from him lately, which is great. I can't watch a video because I can only skim through it, because I can't listen to it's just one thing after another. Just guy's an idiot. But Anyway, gonna get back to this. Gonna throw these 2 screen grid resistors in here. Then we're gonna run this thing for a while, and then we're gonna get it back to its happy owner, which will, I know he's gonna be thrilled to have it back, and in better shape than what it came to me in. Which, like I said, he didn't do a bad job. I mean, especially for a first time build. Now I went through this. I did go through all the solder points, and we're missing a couple of things, but you know, most of this is all his work in here, and not bad, you know, not bad at all for a first time build. And like I showed, that book, I don't have it with me at this moment, but I showed that book, you know, how StewMac does these things. That's pretty cool. Also, I have something else that'll be showing up here pretty soon. I went and that's why I was waiting on these resistors, because Nick from Seriatone, talked to him again. I said, man, what would it take for me to get a buffered effects loop? Because I think I want to put a buffered effects loop in that Chupacabra, just so I can have a little more control over my effects. So I ended up getting an effects loop. And he's a really cool guy. I mean, he's been great. I can't say enough good things about Seriatone. You know, I asked him, I said, hey, by the way, man, can you throw in a couple of resistor 3-watt 470 ohm resistors? Otherwise, I'm going to order them from another place and I'm just going to get killed on shipping, you know. And, no problem, man, I got you. So he threw them in. So anyway, that's where we're at for today. We've got these